How's it going, everybody? Today I'm be talking about a little bit more about my recovery, and it's been quite a rough ride the last few weeks, but the last week or so. But it has also been great. It's also been bringing a lot of great fruit in my life. Um, Today I got together with my sponsor, started working with him, and finally have moved past step one. Of course, I can always go back and work on step one because that is something that is always good for me to go back and address anytime that I feel like I am powerless. I can always go back and understand the concept of step one. But today, I'm going to be talking about uh, step two. And, a lot of us who are stuck in the concept of a power greater than ourselves, once I really started understanding the comprehensive factor of a power greater than myself can restore me to sanity, that does not mean it has to be God Himself. In fact, what got me to fully understand the concept of this was when I was at a meeting. And this meeting was talking about someone who was extremely resentful towards God, or our comprehension of God. And this poor fellow had seen and experienced something extremely traumatic, as most of us have who are dealing with addiction of any sort of factor, is that we all struggle with the disease of something called more. And that is kind of what I fully understand what that means. My full comprehensive state of addiction means more. The ability to never quench and satisfy the word more in my life in any way that it has manifested. And it can be through drugs. It can be through any other substance. It can be through finances. It can be through just about anything, but for me personally, it has manifested primarily from a very young age as pornography addiction and sex addiction, as well as substance abuse in the past. So, the second step talks about came to believe a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. I was working with my sponsor today, and it helped me to fully understand that the power greater than myself is, in fact, understanding what addiction is. And if you put it in a big old blanket statement, I guess, so to speak, is that my addiction was so far my capability to comprehend that I could not stop. It was far greater than what I could handle, far greater than anything I've dealt with in my entire life, and it will continue to be that way. Right? And knowing the sense of empowerment has to come from a power that's greater than me, right? I like to kind of break this down into smaller segments and explain that there are probably aspects of your life that you cannot control, right? And to put that into a bigger perspective is that we start off with the idea that there are many aspects of our lives that we cannot control, right? As addiction and addicts and alcoholics, is we like to come up with this idea that we can control everything in our surroundings. We can control how things happen, control how things happen with us. But for some reason, when it comes to this addiction, we cannot stop it, no matter how hard we try. It is the first time we are hitting a wall over and over and realizing that no matter how hard we try, we cannot stop this addiction. Okay, and thinking that one day it will just be gone and poof, we pray to God, or maybe those out there who are agnostic, who are not so sure about the idea of God, And of course, those atheists out there, very scientific based people who believe there is no such thing as the existence, whatever that means to you. Okay, but the power greater than yourself does not have to come down to the idea of God, right? It can come down to your understanding of a power that is greater than you, that is keeping you from going back into active addiction or active alcoholism or active sex use and abuse towards yourself, right? As addiction is in a way defined as something that you're doing that's injurious to yourself in a repetitive cycle, and you cannot stop even though you know it's bad for you. You continue to do it and you cannot stop, even with the unspecified injurious things that I will not mention, but things that happen to you, and you cannot stop regardless of your effort. So coming to believe that a power greater than yourself can restore you to sanity. At first, it's those meetings, right? At first, it could be meditation, right? When you're meditating on the fact that, when you meditate, you stop everything you're doing, right? And you are now coming to a realization that you have no control. You have no control over a lot of things in life, and yet life tries to trick us into believing that we do have control. And it's not to say you don't have control over anything, but to accept that there are things that are completely out of your control. For instance, waking up tomorrow. You'd like to hope you have control over that, but you don't, right? You hope it happens. Most likely it will happen, right? By the grace of something bigger and better than yourself, you are waking up tomorrow, right? Same kind of idea here is that you can now use the same logic that something bigger and better than yourself can restore you to sanity. Meaning, did you feel like addiction was so incredibly powerful that even when you tried to stop, you couldn't? That in and of itself is a power greater than yourself. It's far beyond your capability to handle. It's far beyond your capability to fully comprehend as to why addiction is so incredibly powerful. It's far bigger than you can fully even imagine, right? It's bigger than you. It will always be bigger than you. And you have to accept that the fight is over. You cannot beat this by yourself. You cannot beat this on your own. And that's okay to admit. It is okay to admit. You do need help. You need help from other people. You need help from a program. You need help from your therapist. You need help from a power greater than yourself. Anything that could be. For me, I do have the concept of a God that assists me in recovery every single day. It's not perfect by any means. Right? I haven't had a perfect, perfect recovery path, but it's not linear. Nothing is linear in this world. So I have to accept the fact that I have zero control over what happens in my recovery. All I can do is hope and pray and rely on my tools that I've learned from step one, and rely on the people who I care about, rely on life doing what it needs to do to restore me to sanity, and relying on my ability to trust that sometimes when I don't know, I don't know. The serenity to have the wisdom to understand the things I can change, and have the wisdom to know the things I cannot. In other words, knowing the wisdom of things I can control, that I have in my own power to control, and knowing the wisdom for things I do not have control over. So when I have this statement in my head, talking earlier today, helping another very early, recovering partner, I said to him completely straight to his face, and I said, you have to understand that recovery and addiction have two very, very simple things. They are both incredibly powerful, right? And they have their own differences. One is very healthy, the other is very destructive, right? Interesting. However, recovery, like I've said about addiction, is also something that is completely out of my own understanding of full comprehension. Recovery is beyond my capability to fully understand. And for that, I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful that I do not fully understand recovery because it means I get to experience something beautiful and new every single day. I get to learn a new concept about recovery. I get to learn something new about me. I get to continue on this upward trend up a mountain, right? And there are times when it plateaus and you can enjoy the view from where you're at. But then you continue to go up the mountain and you see that on this upward trend, this is the path of recovery. Like I've said before, it's not linear. You might trip, you might fall on your way up to the mountain of recovery. But know that again, recovery is, in my eyes, eternal. And anything that is completely eternal is far beyond my understanding. Just like the ends of the universe, the edges and all the, and to fully understand how small we really are in the universe is my same application of thought. Right? How the universe is so vast, it's so huge, it's beyond our ability to understand, beyond our capability to comprehend. It's far bigger than we can even possibly imagine. And that, to me, is the same application to addiction and recovery, that both are incredibly powerful, both are incredibly immense and huge and massive and continuing to grow, never-ending growth, right? One grows towards destruction, and the other one grows towards health and rehabilitation, strength and hope, right? Wisdom, knowledge, understanding, humility, the everlasting growth of beautiful virtues that you get to experience throughout life as recovery makes life so much more immense and so much more colorful in life, right? And of course, addiction does the other. So when you can fully understand, step 2, that your addiction, right, is so incredibly powerful beyond capability to understand, with however many attempts you've tried to stop, you must also adopt the idea that this is too big for you to handle. And if you are willing to come and understand the point that yes, that is way too big for you, beyond your reach to grasp and do yourself, then you're ready to take steps in 12 step, with the second step that talks about how you can now open yourself up to a power that is greater than yourself to restore you to sanity. That could be going to a meeting. It could be talking to another accountability partner in recovery. It could be reading a spiritual book. It could be God himself. Or it could be something that you had no idea, right? But anything basically in my eyes that is outside of yourself is my higher power. That is my God. That is my higher power. Right? When I'm reaching out to something that is outside of myself, that is believing in a power that is greater than me, inside me, me who I am, that can restore me back to who I am. So I'm reaching outside of myself. That is a power greater than myself that can restore me to sanity. Hopefully you like this video.